Yeah, there we are. Okay, YouTube is telling me that my show is upcoming. I don't think so, YouTube. I'm already on the air. YouTube has been having its issues the last couple of days, let me tell you guys. I'm like, what? What do you mean it's upcoming? You have to make this short. I always say that, but I really mean it this time. Yeah, we'll just say 30 minutes. Hey, Rita Close. Let me just set up my screen. Yes, you can see the background today is a snowy New York. One can only dream, right? Oh my gosh, so much has happened in the last 48 hours in the entertainment industry. Come on, people. Can I see myself? There we are. Okay, everybody set your chat to live chat if you want to see all the messages. I'm going to set my chat to all on the phone, and I'm going to turn off my notifications just so we're in do not disturb mode. Hey, Birdie. And no, I haven't fixed the squeaky chair yet because I don't want the animals to be overcome by the fumes of WD-40. Rita Close, Carol, Birdie, all you guys, welcome in. Wow, what a past 24 hours or 48 hours it's been. It's just, my head is spinning right now, everybody. Yeah, we're not going to talk about Nancy today or Perez or Jackie. Pauline. Today it's the day that I take it, so I'm just I took a bone pill yesterday, so it always makes me feel crappy the day after. And I opened up my medical kit last night. If you guys were here yesterday, sadly, when I opened the box last night, yes, it was the hat. If you don't know what that means, don't ask. But it's not the hat that has to go in the refrigerator. It just has to go into a jug. That's all I'm going to say. I only slept about 3 hours last night because of it, because I had to get the timing like just right. Like, ugh. But thank you for asking, Carol. Wow, that's an early super chat. It just started. Only 15 people here. I don't know if a lot of people are going to come in for this one. I know. Tim Curry says, Kenneth Russell. You know what I found out this morning? Because I really don't know everything, although you guys sometimes think I do. I just found out that Mr. Curry was indeed my neighbor. And that has been confirmed. Now, I haven't heard it by his people, but it has been confirmed by some of the powers that be in my neighborhood that he was our neighbor and that he was in a wheelchair, that he was pretty messed up at the end. Yes, I did not realize that. I will know more later as far as, the exact location, although, I'm not going to give out his address. Yes, I believe that's true, Kenneth. He said both he and Dolly were born the same year. So we lost Dolly yesterday. We lost Tim Curry today, who I did not know was my neighbor. And coincidentally, another person who happened to be in Home Alone 2, although it was just a cameo appearance, is former actress singer J.P. Morgan. Now, most of her work was before my time, when she was like a famous singer. That was long before my time. I just knew her as a child as that wacky lady that would go on these game shows, and she would do like outrageous things. And my mother would yell at me and say, "Don't watch that lady," or "Don't watch that woman." But she wouldn't say, "Don't watch that show." She would just say, "Don't watch that woman. She's on, the D word," which we can't say here on YouTube. At least I'm not going to say it. And I would watch anyway. Because she would say something outrageous and they would have to bleep it out, but they couldn't redo the scene because it's like a game show and that would like screw up the whole rhythm of the show. So they would go cuckoo cuckoo. Remember that Match Game? And she'd say something and they would cut to a close up. So it must have been a multi-camera formatted show. It was recorded, tape recorded, probably multi-camera, and they would cut every single edit to the close up of her face right when she would say something outrageous. And then the audio guys, the sound guys would put in the cuckoo cuckoo, and I would read her lips. I was a very small child, but I knew some of these words already because of my father. Not my mother, but because of my father. And I have the same bad habits sometimes. I have to be very careful here on YouTube. Alex, hello. So Kenneth remembers her. Pauline says, my chat came out weird. I don't know why it says hello, Lloyd Lady. I saw that too, and I figured it was just like a typo or autocorrect or something. But that's okay. I'll take it. Suzanne sent the treat. Thank you so much. First jewel of the day. So yeah, my mom would yell at me if I was watching, Match Game. I think it started in 73 because I remember 73, 74, and 75. And I don't remember what year she was on, but I was very young and I shouldn't even have known, the language that she was going to use. But because, it was a network show, or it could have been even syndicated, but still they have censors, they would have to cut it out. And instead of going bleep, 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 they would go cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. And I would just like fall over almost dead. And I had bad eyes, even as a kid. These are just readers. I've had 4 surgeries now, but I had very bad eyes as a kid. So I wouldn't even sit like in a chair or on the sofa. I would get down on the floor and I would be glued to the TV because I just knew, like if it was a good show, she was going to say something outrageous and they were going to cut to the Zoom. And then the audio guys would go, cuckoo, cuckoo. And then I would try to read her lips. And then you would hear the laughter, the roar of the studio audience. And I just thought, that was great. And my mom, she would just give me a dirty look. Don't watch that woman. Don't watch her. She's on. So funny. I hear Ashley Manfield say the F word on her show live. Yeah, I've heard that too. I like her a lot, but was shocked. Yeah, but she's Canadian. In Canada, you can, like, not in the U.S., but in Canada, you can say words way worse than the F word on radio and television, and it's not even censored. So it's a Canadian thing. Now, that wasn't my dad's excuse because he wasn't Canadian yet when he would use those words. But I would read the lips as a child, and I would just almost fall over dead because I would laugh so hard that my stomach hurt. What a funny person. And she did make a cameo in Home Alone 2. Tim Curry is in Home Alone 2. He wasn't a cameo. He's actually a co-starring role. But, this year we've lost, Moira from Schitt's Creek. Yeah, and she was in Home Alone and Home Alone 2. That was the wonderful Catherine O'Hara. We've lost Tim Curry and J.P. Morgan. Now, I would assume since J.P. reportedly died on the 24th that the family probably had planned to announce it the 25th. But then, Dolly Parton's passing was announced early yesterday. So maybe that's why that story was held back a day. I'm not sure why they waited until the 26th. Oh, thank you. I didn't know that about Canadians. All the Canadians that I know, they have, like, the censors are very strict on, like, network television here, although she's not on network television. She's on a podcast style YouTube video. So it's a little different. I live in probably the cheapest building in the nice place, but yeah, I did not know that he was my neighbor. In fact, speaking of Home Alone and Home Alone 2, it's Macaulay's birthday today. Happy birthday, Mac. He and Brenda also were my neighbors up until a few months ago. And I didn't realize it at the time. I realized it later. And I was like, are you serious? Because I've been to that house before. It was kind of like, remember when Kike Hernandez, the baseball player, suddenly, unexpectedly got traded from Boston to the Dodgers? And he had to, like, literally take a red eye, and then his wife took a flight the next day. They got a sitter for their child and their dogs, and they had one day to find a house. And Rich Hill, he was like, ringy dingy dingy, hey, I got a house in, and would you like it? And they saw it in one day and they took it. So Kike was my neighbor. And then when I saw where it was, I was like, I've been to that house before for Halloween. And then Macaulay and Brenda's place, I have been not only in front of it, but you can't really see it because it's covered in tall bushes, but I've been to the house next door on either side where I have filmed for both Halloween and Christmas. And I'm like, I'll be darned. How many times have I been sitting out across the street from their house and I didn't realize it. And then one day they put up a picture of them walking with a cat in a stroller, and I was like, I just get the feeling I've been there before. And I couldn't see much of the background, but it turned out my spidey senses were right. But he's not in the hood anymore. Megyn Kelly too. You know what? I'm not a big fan of hers because I do not agree with her politics. But occasionally when she throws the zingers out there and I've heard about it, I'll go watch it. Yeah. So got 38 people in the house, only 8 thumbs up. I have to make this short because in another 10 minutes, the LA Department of Water and Power, they're going to go into some kind of not eco mode, but rush hour mode. So what they do is they set the thermostat 3 degrees behind 30 minutes before. However, what they don't realize is that I'm living in an old building with an old unit, and they just keep putting Band-Aids on it. And so it doesn't really work when it's hot outside. So even though they kicked the thermostat, I kicked it down 1 degree, then they kicked it down 3 degrees, but it's still showing 6 degrees higher because I had to open the front door to bring in a grocery delivery. Like, it was so hot that I didn't feel like safe to drive on 3 or 4 hours of sleep. It's bone pill day. It's arrhythmia pill day. And I'm like, I know I can't afford to do this, but I'm just going to pay. I'm not going to pay the rush fee, but I'm just going to have the regular delivery and pay the tip. And just to get this into my house as soon as possible. But of course, I had to open the door and the big heat wave came in. Because remember, in California, or at least Southern California, and this has been like this for years now, and it almost makes me not want to go to their restaurants anymore. Every year, Starbucks, they have their holiday campaign. Now, Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf, they do it too, and they started early this year. But every single year, when Starbucks says we are releasing the drinks, the fall drinks, and this is the day that it's happened, you can guarantee that that will be the day or the week that Los Angeles will hit triple-digit heat. It happens every friggin' year. How can you be in a Starbucks in Southern California ordering your pumpkin spice when it's, 105 degrees and you can't even sit at a table outside because you'll fall over in 10 minutes? I'd fall over in like 3 minutes with my heart health. Like, I'm like, Starbucks, stop, time out, stop cursing us, because we will be cursed as soon as those drinks come out. By the time that it cools down in LA sometimes, those drinks are almost ready to go. The fall drinks, they're starting to pull them. Like, I may not be able to have a pumpkin spice drink this year because I just refuse to do it in triple-digit heat. But yeah, I've got another 8 minutes before the power company goes with the meter. And it's for 2 hours. Now, if it were just me, I would just suffer and probably complain to you guys. But my bunny, the thermostat is already just sitting at 1 degree under where it's dangerous for her. I'm not going to risk the death or sudden death, a heat stroke of my bunny. This is ridiculous that our country can afford all these wars in other countries, but our infrastructure is collapsing. Our roads, our bridges, our water systems, our power systems. Apparently part of California and Arizona, we're going to get our water cut off from the Colorado River. I mean, we're in a really bad way. But back to what we were talking about. Hey, Jay. So we've lost Dolly. And by the way, I did do a short on Dolly. I thought it was pretty good. It's just a montage video, but I thought it was pretty decent. But I released it at the wrong time. I released it late last night, and it's tanking. And YouTube, it won't catch the algorithm because I released it at the wrong time. So anybody that's watching this video now or is watching it later on the replay, please go over to my shorts video. Thank you, Mostly Dallas Helicopter, for the Canadian super chat. Please go to my shorts, after this video or during this video or whenever you have time. Share it with everybody because YouTube is not going to boost it. And, there's big changes coming to YouTube in February. It's a good thing I was already monetized because they're doubling the requirements. And the fraction of pennies that you get paid for shorts, those fractions of pennies won't even apply anymore unless you hit something like 10 million views. So my shorts after February 1st, you're probably never going to see one again. You watched my short last night. Thank you, Nanette. Yeah, I would have to get tens of thousands of views just to make $1 on that. At what it's at now, it's probably not even a penny. I should have just waited till today, but I thought well, this is a current thing with Dolly Parton, but I keep a different sleep schedule than the rest of you, especially when I'm 2 days, 3 days before a major medical appointment that I'm freaked out about. My body will literally stop sleeping. And then to make it worse, when I waited for it to cool down a little bit so I could take out my recycles last night to the recycle bin, I looked up and I noticed that it was almost a full moon. I'm like, oh no. Because there really is something to that. Don't sleep near full moon, and I don't sleep when there's a medical. Even though it's a simple picture, it's a simple test. And it's something I go through yearly. It's very traumatic because of what's happened to me health-wise over the last few years. It'll bring back all kinds of bad feels. So yeah, so it's hot. I'm sleepless, and I have 4 more minutes before the city of LA jacks my thermostat. Now, they can jack it up. I can push it back down. But remember, I already got that $291 bill for 2 months, and that doesn't include the one that comes with the rent. That's a separate one. And apparently, somewhere in our building, they suspect there's a leak, like a water leak, because we all got a big message from the management last night. If you have any dripping faucets or leaking toilets or running toilets or a leak in your shower or under your sink, please contact us immediately, because apparently something's leaking somewhere on the property because the water's just they're burning through the water too quickly. And we have to pay for that. So it's oh my God. How am I even going to survive? Then I hear about Dolly, and apparently the last few weeks it was pretty bad. She hadn't left her house. She was in a wheelchair, possibly. She was confined to a bed, supposedly. There's a rumor that she had lost her hair, which would probably be if she was undergoing any type of chemo. But apparently she declined very, very quickly, and her family rushed to her side, and some of them even couldn't make it there on time. It happened that quick. And you know what? If she wasn't going to get better, and I'm speaking from experience. I mean, I got better, but except for all my side effects. But if she wasn't going to get better, it's probably best that it happened as quickly as it did. Now, I'm seeing on my screen that somebody sent me the hydrated jewels. Okay, Mostly Dallas Helicopter sent the gold coin. Who sent me the... I missed that, I think. I see the treat. Oh, Birdie. There you go. Stay hydrated. Thank you, Birdie. Yeah, I have to, especially today, since I'm doing the hat test. Oh, my God. Isn't that going to be fun going down to FedEx in triple digit heat so I can drop off my hat test? I can't make this up, people. 1999. Oh my gosh. Birdie, that's like super rare that I get something like that. Thank you so much. Where are you coming in from, Birdie57? And are you here because of my true crime? Or are you here because of my celebrity gossip? Are you here because of me reporting on the recent deaths? Dolly Parton, Tim Curry, my neighbor that I didn't even know I had. Like, as soon as I found out that Mac and Brenda were my neighbor, or I was like, oh, wow. Because I suspected by that cat picture, I was like, I think I know this. Like, and there's nothing on that picture that shows like a house or a street, but I felt it like I've been there before. And then when I found out that it was true and where it was, I'm like, oh my God, that's where I filmed like so many of my holiday videos, like right at their house. Like, I didn't know that. And then, a week or two later, they're like, oh, they moved. Oh my gosh, all of it, April. Well, thank you, Birdie. Work with animals. Bunny, put cold water or frozen water bottles in front of fans. Blow on your bunny. Put the frozen water bottle in her cage. Well, she doesn't live in a cage. She's a free roam. Yeah, she's inside with central air. I have a backup fan in the bedroom, and I have a backup Porta AC because, the central doesn't work when it's hot outside. But I'll keep a good eye on her. If it gets too hot, I will go plug in the Porta AC. But I have to be here when that happens because she might chew the cord. But it looks like I'm not going anywhere today, not even to the grocery store, because, I don't want to have to carry my hat and my little, sample jug. Nanette says, before appointments, I don't sleep either. I have infusion tomorrow. I have weird sleep patterns as well. Kicks the PTSD in. The appointments does it for me. And I never had that before in my life, but I have medical anxiety, I have to say. But I don't have anxiety about other stuff in my life. It's just, the medical crap. And then I recently read somewhere that for people that have survived cancer, that's actually a normal thing. Like, oh, that's actually normal. Birdie says, I'm in Banning, 25 minutes from Palm Springs, but typically 10 to 15 degrees cooler. You know what? I am very familiar, Birdie, with Banning. I had a very, very big case out there many, many years ago. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah. It was a long drive from LA every day. Let me tell you. I was out there working so hard for so long that I came home one night, called my then boyfriend and said, don't worry about me, but I'm turning off my phone and my pager and everything, and I'm going to bed. And me and my then bunny, we slept for 17 hours. Only time that's ever happened in my life. Because of that drive. And then being out in the heat for 12 hours a day. Oh my God. Carol! Oh my God! What is going on today? I'll be setting that aside for the next 60-day power bill. Thank you. It'll actually help me pay for some of those groceries I ordered today via delivery. Love you, April. I love you guys too. Yeah, I didn't know if you guys would even be interested in this, but it was like, Catherine O'Hara, me and my bestie, or not, she wasn't my bestie, but she was like my second close bestie. But she was becoming my number one bestie before she died. We watched Schitt's Creek during the pandemic, and we just both love Catherine O'Hara. Of course, she was a fellow Canadian, not to me, but to my friend. And my friend knew some of the people that were in that show, and she was telling me all about it. And we totally got into it and watched it together. But we lost Catherine O'Hara this year, Tim Curry, and on the 24th, now albeit she was 94, but rest in peace to J.P. Morgan, because she did give me some good laughs in my childhood, during the summer when we were off from school and we were in town and we would sit home. because it was really hot. It would come on in the afternoon. We wouldn't even go in the pool at that time because it was too hot. Living in the Gulf Coast at that time, it was hot and humid, and the storms would come in the late afternoon. So we'd usually be inside in front of the TV. Nanette, yeah. Hey Connie E, hey Mimi. Yeah, I've heard a lot about that. I want to make a video on it, but yet I kind of don't because I'm getting more freaked out by the moment. I should do an update. I was going to yesterday, but Dolly died. There's a lot more to it, Nanette, than just broken bones. I mean, it goes way beyond broken bones. Wow, Perez. I don't know. I'm very conflicted about all of this now that I'm learning so much about his past, but I'm not going to judge him on his past. I'm going to wish him a full recovery because I love those kids and I think he's been a good father. But I have very mixed feelings about him, like having access to the children. They have not been allowed to see their father yet, even though a court says that they can. They have not been allowed to go to the hospital, according to Tom, his brother-in-law. And, as bad as it is, I heard the interview with Tom and Booker. It almost sounded like he was sugarcoating the situation. It's a lot worse than what they're saying. Yes, I've heard the story you're keeping quiet about. Yeah, I've heard that he's required multiple surgeries, although I know that it's getting closer to the point of him being transferred into a psychiatric facility. And there's no timeline for his recovery. In the meanwhile, Barbara, also known as Barbie, but Barbara Lavandiera, she started up the website again. I don't know how well it's doing without its front man. Her husband does own a couple of businesses here in LA. I didn't know her husband's a car guy. He's like a classic car kind of guy, which is kind of cool. I like things like that. I'm glad Barbara has, a strong man in her life. I don't know if she's come back to Los Angeles or if she's still in Miami. He's always been very nice to me, when we did those lives, but, I don't support his past behavior. I didn't realize it was as bad as it was. I don't know, like, did he really change like he says that he did? Was he a wolf in sheep's clothing? It's kind of ironic that, now they're asking for privacy and no gossip and don't take any pictures of the kids and, kind of what goes around comes around, but I don't want to say that. I don't want to say like, oh, well, he was a bad person and now it's his karma, because I do think he's been a good man the last 20 years and, he's been a wonderful dad. But, is it a possibility that he has this post-sepsis psychosis? Very possible. I'd never heard of post-sepsis psychosis before. Tom talked about it a little bit with Booker. Yeah, I think there's just a lot more going on than post-sepsis psychosis, but I'm not a doctor. But this is something that I don't think he's ever going to be able to physically fully recover from, depending on how true or not true the rumors are. And it's so bad, it's not even something I want to make a video, but I don't want to be that gruesome from what I've been hearing. Nanette says, I think this goes really very deep. I think so. And if it was a medication-induced sort of situation, or it was a post-sepsis psychosis situation, that could be any of us. You could get a brain tumor and just flip out. Like, you don't know what can happen. So I'm not going to judge, and I'm just going to wish him the best. Like I said, he was always very nice to me, although we've never met face to face. But, we did have those lives a couple of times. I think it was Instagram. Could have been Facebook too. I just had to be around maybe 2022. I haven't looked through the DMs yet on my phone to see if it's even up there. Yeah. Yeah. That's a tough one. I even bought a new charging cord for one of my Porta DVD players so that I can watch the episode of Tori and Dean, the pilot that I happen to have a very small appearance in. He was in the same show the same day, but I didn't see him that day. Hello from Wisconsin. I have never worked with Jane Seymour, but I've heard a lot of wonderful things about her. And she survived breast cancer. A lot of people do, especially those that have very good insurance and they get diagnosed early. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. But good for her. I like hearing stories like that because I think it's helpful when you hear about, especially the people that are advanced and they survive. And I'm more concerned about the side effects at this point with my heart than I am with worrying about a recurrence or a possible recurrence. Yeah, my heart just hurts today, for Perez, and we're still very upset here in Southern California about Jackie. If you were watching the nest yesterday, Shadow sat in the nest for the nest that he's never in during this time of the year. If Jackie were alive, they wouldn't even be near that nest. They would be on their summer vacation. And he sat there alone yesterday for over an hour without the company of Katie, just looking out over the lake, thinking about his queen. And somebody said a very nasty comment on one of my Jackie videos about, oh, it's just an animal and they move on and they don't have any feelings. Well, obviously that guy, whoever he was a moron. I think it was a man that said it. Like, animals do have feelings, especially birds. Birds are highly intelligent. They totally have feelings. Science has recently learned that an octopus is one of the smartest animals on the planet. And they have feelings. Look at the animals that get taken away to slaughter and the pigs and the cows that jump off the truck and run for their lives because they know they're not coming back. Animals do have feelings. They may not be able to speak in the way that you and I can speak, but birds are very smart. And he was very somber yesterday, just sitting in the nest overlooking the lake, thinking about his queen. It was very, very sad, especially, that happened the same day that we got the horrible news about Dolly Parton. And then this morning I woke up to the Tim Curry news and found out, well, he had been my neighbor, I guess, until today. Don't know if he passed at home or in a hospital. Don't know any of the details. I know that he was 80. He was Dolly's age. Carol says, animals do have feelings. Feels so sad watching Shadow by himself, waiting for her. It looks like watching over the lake. Yeah, exactly. He is waiting for her. Although that evening he did go to one of the pine trees and he roosted for the night with Katie. Yeah, he did seem like he was in deep reflection. And I just think it's heaven sent that, Katie showed up at the time that she showed up. She made quite a long journey to end up in Big Bear Lake and to be there and to try to choose him at the most opportune time. It's just it's kind of a miracle. Waiting for Jackie, and he is in grief. So sad. I heard that birds are animals of intuition, like they know when their partner is gone or passed away. That's what I'm hearing, and I think maybe he's starting to realize that she's not coming back. It's just my heart is so broken. Those birds, those eagles helped get me through cancer. You know what I've learned since yesterday too is that Dolly Parton, she had some sort of a sanctuary for injured bald eagles. It might have been part of her. I don't know if it was part of Dollywood or if it was a separate facility. But besides, dedicating her life to children and helping people read, and um, she's helped people who lost their homes in Tennessee due to fires. She started Dollywood. A lot of that money all goes to charity. She has an eagle uh, habitat, like a sanctuary for injured eagles. I never knew that. Yes, I think it's heaven sent too. I do with the timing, Kate or Carol. Lord sent Katie. Yes, a miracle. Um, Birds do grieve when they lose a partner. Absolutely. Yeah, Dolly had a foundation for bald eagles. I didn't know that. I just didn't know that. That's amazing. Um, the Grim Reaper keeps taking the wrong Home Alone 2 actors. Uh, I was just wondering if that's where you were going with this. We're not going to get political, but yeah, the Grim Reaper took the wrong 80-year-old yesterday. And you know what I recently read? Besides that, I'm going to talk about the Ricky Schroeder thing because I'm very upset about it. But it says, in a world full of Donalds, think about this, in a world full of Donalds, be a Dolly. That's all I'm going to say. Um, Now, let's get to the Ricky Schroeder situation. He had a lot to say about Dolly. I'm not even going to say it here. I responded to him directly, and I said, why did Ricky Schroeder grow up to be a dick? Yeah, I'm going to say that on YouTube. Ricky, why did you grow up to be a dick? I was on that set quite a few times. I've talked about that before when he did Silver Spoons and he was only like 13. Um, he seemed like an okay kid. I mean, I wasn't like hanging out with him, but gosh, when people are bashing Jason Bateman, you know, Jason Bateman, he was a pretty cool kid when he was there. He was like 15, Ricky was 13. Then I remember when Alfonso Ribeiro came on. And that's weird because I still see him occasionally in the area. I haven't seen him lately, but he's all grown up now and married and got 4 kids or something. Alfonso, he was cool. Jason was no problem on the set, but he got fired for taking, the popularity away from Ricky. But Ricky, what happened? His wife left him. His kids apparently don't have anything to do with him anymore. He went off the deep end. During the time that I was treating for cancer, there was an incident at a Costco where he went into a rage. You know, what the F happened to you? Um, Come on, Ricky. I mean, I just don't think he can go back from this. You know what? Jason, he was actually cool and funny. I've heard some things about him when he was little, different things that happened to different actors. Um, but he was probably just being a kid. But you know, be a Jason, don't be a Ricky. Be a Dolly, don't be a Donald. You know, and I know this background that you guys are looking at is the Plaza Hotel, which I think used to be owned by the Donald. But that's not why I put it up there because I wanted to pay tribute to Tim Curry and to even, don't forget, J.P. Morgan. Years ago, I was at a function uh, that involved the son of Canadian actress Yvonne DiCarlo, and I met him, Bruce Morgan. Nice guy. And I knew that he was the son of Bob Morgan, but I didn't know that Bob Morgan was the brother of actress J.P. Morgan. So this guy that I met a number of years ago, this Bruce Morgan, if I had known at the time that his aunt was JP, I would have said something about that because I just have the happiest, most funniest memories of her from my childhood. Oh my gosh. I think I actually saw the Gong Show episode where on national television, and it was obviously pre-taped, but they showed it and they like kind of not graded out, but they blurred it out. She got out of hand and she took off her clothes. Well, she took off her top, let's just put it that way. And I was a young kid and I was just like, oh my God, she took off her clothes. Like, I was older then than I was for Match Game, but still, it was pretty shocking. And a few years later, when I was a grown up, but I was still really young, I went to college with this girl. I took a summer criminal justice class with this gal that actually dated her son back when they were like, I think around 15 or 16. And she was telling me some pretty bad things. I'm not going to say them here. And apparently that son was adopted. I just found that out today. I didn't know that her son Paul was adopted by her and one of her former husbands. But God bless JP. What an amazing thing to turn herself from a singer to an actor to this funny gal. She just kept recreating herself. So she had a good life. 94 years old. God bless her. God bless Tim Curry. God bless Dolly. That's the one that hurts bad. But for me, what hurts even worse, because I didn't know Dolly. I love Dolly, but what hurts worse for me is Jackie. That's the one that's still just my heart. My heart hurts. Nanette. I'm gonna make this really short because I gotta go turn on my game and adjust my thermostat. Eagle Mountain Sanctuary, Dolly founded in 1991 at Dollywood. I thought I heard that it was at Dollywood. Recently storm damaged, moved it to American Eagle Foundation 50-acre campus in Kodak, Tennessee. See, I didn't know that part. Okay, so it was at Dollywood, and then a storm moved it. Wow. What an amazing person Dolly Parton was. I'm so glad that she's reunited with her husband, Carl. God bless both of them. They're both probably doing better than the rest of us right now. But she would tell us, keep going and live life and have fun. So just, keep up your spirits, everybody. She had an eagle she adopted? You mean Dolly? Yeah, I want to adopt Shadow for FOBBV. I want to send them $25, but apparently they're 10 weeks backed up on like their store and their like adoption things, and I really want to adopt Willow at the Ojai Raptor Center, but that's $100 that I really can't afford. Being a disabled person on a limited income, that's not enough to cover my bills. So, but I really want to adopt Willow. Give my money to Ojai Raptor Center. Again, I already made a small donation to them, and we talked about it before, and I've bought things before from Friends of Big Bear Valley, but I really would like to have like a shadow adoption certificate. That would be so cool. But I'm in love with this girl Willow. If you haven't seen her, go to the Ojai Raptor Center website and look up some of the animals that you can sponsor with an adoption of them. They're just gorgeous. Oh my gosh. People don't realize how expensive it is to run these nonprofit wildlife rehab places. It's a lot of people are just volunteers, and a lot of the doctors are being underpaid, and it's a lot. They have over 90 animals in their care right now, so go support them, everybody. So God bless Dolly, God bless JP, God bless Tim Curry, and I'm still got my prayers out there for Perez. But thank you for coming, everybody. Thank you. Wow, I got a lot of super chats today. That's amazing. I usually don't do that well, so thank you so much for the super chats. Thank you for the jewels. And okay, it says goal ended. I'm just going to leave it like that. Everybody hit the like button. If you haven't gone and seen my short on Dolly Parton, the montage video, go see it because I released it late last night and it just went. It never even like peaked because it was too late. And so YouTube is, they're not even pushing it out there. So if you guys could go see it, we could get several thousand views quickly. Watch it multiple times, play it on loop, do whatever you have to do. But thanks for supporting my YouTube channel, and I'll see you as soon as I possibly can. Thanks.